Hi everyone. In this video, we will be talking about Amazon flat files. These flat files are used by Amazon sellers to create much faster the new Amazon listings, and also you can use them to approve to increase the chances of product description change approvals faster. So our guest today will be Alina Hobart, and she will share some tips and tricks how you can use flat files. Before we move on further, I wanted to mention that this session is sponsored by a few companies. The first one is Getida. They are FBA auditing and reimbursement service for Amazon sellers. They can help you to claim your money back from Amazon, which Amazon owes you. Check the link below in the description. The next company is Helium 10. They are all-in-one suite for Amazon and Walmart sellers. So check the link below. The next company is Unibrands. So they acquire brands, e-commerce brands, also not only Amazon, but also Shopify direct-to-consumer brands. If you want to exit your e-commerce business and sell it to someone else, talk to Unibrands. And next company which is sponsoring the session is Perpetua. They are an e-commerce advertising optimization and intelligence software. So they can help you with your advertising management automatically on Amazon, Walmart, and a few other marketplaces. The link below in the description. And finally, last but not least, Z is the full service of compliance and customs and logistics. So if you want to expand your e-commerce business globally, talk to them. Again, all the sponsors are linked below in the description. If you like videos we create, don't forget to click like and subscribe to this channel. And this session I will be hosting together with Lisette. Hello, Lisette.
Hi, Augustus, and hi to everybody else as well. Excited to have you here together with us. And today, our awesome guest will be Alina. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So, before we start with today's session, could you first introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and let us know what you will talk about today.
Okay, yes. Again, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be sharing today this topic too, and I'll explain why. But my name is Ali Hobart, and I don't know if you've seen me before. My husband is Sumner Hobart, and he's usually the face of our Amazon business. But our husband and wife team, we've been selling on Amazon since 2018. And as we started selling, we started figuring out things that were not, like we're not being talked about, or there's a lot of misinformation. So we started our YouTube channel and our online courses because of that. And yeah, so we've been just cranking out content, trying to help new sellers. We love experimenting things with our own business and then sharing with everyone. So I'm really excited to be here. And today I will be talking about how to use Amazon flat files to add new listings or edit existing listings. And there's a ton of reasons why this is one of my favorite ways to actually do this process.
I'm very excited about your presentation because I have actually seen one of your videos on your channel, and I think a lot of viewers will benefit from this session. So let's go ahead. We already have your slides ready, and we can go to your presentation.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so here we are. We all know, if you're an Amazon seller, that when you are trying to edit listings, there's so many times where you get the little red note and you don't know what to do. You don't know what the error is. You just cannot seem to save the changes that you're doing. Or sometimes let's say you change your title and then you go ahead and you save it, but you have no idea why it didn't go through. So you have to call seller support, try to figure out what's going on, stay hours on the phone, or those really annoying emails that don't really seem to answer your questions. So because of that, I will be sharing that you no longer have to do this. And that is because of this file upload. And there's a few reasons why that's really good, not only, as I said, for editing, but for adding new listings to Amazon. So first is because it saves a ton of time, especially if you're going to do that in bulk. Let's say you're going to add several variations where some of the information might be the same. You can easily copy and paste, or you can even do this for multiple categories at the same time. And I'll mention that a little bit later in the presentation. But this, honestly, I love tools and things that saves us time, because once you've been selling for a while, even if you're just starting and trying to wrap your head around everything, you know there's so much you need to take care of, like regarding your business. So anything that will save you time, and this can literally save you hours, so you don't have to manually do listings one by one. So that's one. Second benefit is that it can override some backend errors. Honestly, I do not know why that is, but as I said, sometimes you try to do things manually and it just doesn't change. You try to update your title and it doesn't go through. You wait 6 hours, you wait 24 hours, whatever seller support tells you to wait, and it doesn't go through. And in my experience using this process, a lot of these backend errors will not occur, and your change will actually go through. So that's why Augustus mentioned not only description, but you can pretty much easily get approved on any changes for pretty much every single item of your listing. So titles, description, bullet points, even images, and so on. Third benefit is that it's going to give you some error feedback. So let's say there is something going on and Amazon cannot process that change. You're going to receive an email saying exactly what the error is. It's going to even give you an error code, and I'm going to show you this later in the presentation. It's going to give you an error code and a description of the error, so you don't have to keep wondering why your changes do not go through. And if you do need to contact seller support, then you at least know what to tell them. Hey, I'm getting the error, whatever, 6245. And they will hopefully help you get through it easily. And then the last benefit is that you can have this file to store your data. So you're going to have this a lot of times, you do those quick changes, and even if you're just editing one listing and you just open them in the edit button on your manage inventory page, you do the change, but then if something happens and your listing gets wiped out, you don't have that most recent update. And when you're using these files, you have this file with you. You have all of your description, bullet points, everything saved to where if you need any of that information, is very easily accessible. So how do you do this? From your Seller Central homepage, you go to the main menu, go to inventory, and then click on add products via upload. Next, you're going to arrive at this page. And the first thing that you need to do, for some reason, I think it defaults to the upload tab, but you need to switch tabs. You need to click on this one right here, download an inventory file. And that is because first, Amazon needs to give you the template for you to fill out so that you can give them the information that you want changed or added. So the first step is to find the product category that you want to sell in. So you can use the search tool and then click search, or you can go through the path of finding, like home and kitchen, kitchen and dining, so on. For example, this one, and then clicking on select. So in this example, I'll be using wine glasses. And at the very end, you click select, and you're going to see that it's going to show at the bottom, the summary. And you can do this process, as I mentioned, for several categories. You can use just one flat file and upload listings, edit listings across multiple categories. And all you need to do is, in this step right here, just keep searching for the next categories that you want added in the flat file. So, for example, if you do something completely different, like, what was this? Bathtub toys, then it's going to show up here, all in the summary. You can do multiples, but for the sake of time, we're just going to do one for this presentation. But as I said, you can do multiples, and you're just going to keep seeing that list grow. Then you go to step number 2, which is to select the marketplace. So you can also make this change. And as you start using more and more of these tools and these features, you see like the time savings exponentially increase as well, because you can do this for across multiple marketplaces. But whatever you're already logged in, that's going to be the default. So in this case, it's Amazon.com. And we're just going to leave that one marketplace as well for this presentation, but you could select multiples. Step number 3 is you can select the language that you want. We're just going to leave English right now, but you could select another one like Chinese, I believe there's the option. Next, you're going to select if you want custom columns or if you want the advanced. So if you want custom, you just need to select right here what type of columns and information you want to add. All you have to do is click on the left box and then click on add, and it's going to show up on the new box. But for this example, we're just going to do advanced, which is pretty already, what is it? It has pretty much everything that you need. So I always by default go with advanced. Then you click on generate template, and you're going to see that a link is going to show up after you click on generate template. And all you have to do is click on wine glasses. And then in this case, or click on your sheet. And that is going to download the sheet for you. And you can use that file either on Excel or Google Sheets. So Excel is a paid tool, Microsoft paid tool, but a little trick is that you can use it on Google Sheets, which is completely free. You just need to have a Gmail account. So what you can do is upload that to your Google Drive. And once you click on the file, there's going to be an option to say open in Google. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to switch my screen and share with you what it would look like.
And while Ali is sharing her screen, yeah, I think, please, everyone who is in the live chat, don't forget to ask your questions about flat files. Actually, yes. Jeff is already excited. He says, I never thought I would be excited for flat files.
I know. Let me say something, like flat files, for me, starting off was kind of intimidating. I did not think that I would ever like use them because they just seemed like way too advanced for me. But I've been using them more and more, like uploading shipping plans, doing this kind of edits and, PPC. Oh my goodness, it's a game changer. So that's why I'm so excited too. It saves so much time and headaches. So okay, everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so once you upload to Google Sheets, you are going to see the first tab. If you can notice, there's a few tabs at the bottom. First tabs are going to be the instructions, and you're more than welcome to read either in English or Chinese, I believe, but hopefully this video will break everything down for you. And if you go through the tabs, you can also see, examples and data definitions. So if you're not certain about what something like one of the columns mean, well, what do they really mean about feed product type? Before you actually putting the information, you can come here to data definitions and reading what it means. But where you're going to be doing the majority of the work is going to be right here on the tab called template. And we're going to go through all of it, or the majority of it, so you kind of know what to expect and it doesn't look as intimidating as it seems. Okay, so first, just a quick note. If you're using Google Sheets, there's some features that they might be disabled. And as a matter of fact, if you start typing something like product name in your Google Sheets, you might get a warning saying some features might be disabled. Just agree with it and it's fine. We can still work with that. If you're using Excel, you most likely will not have to deal with that. And another quick note is that all of these cells that have the little arrow for the drop down menu, that means that you have to select one of these options. And right now it loaded. Sometimes with Google Sheets, it's just going to be stuck on loading for a while. But I'm going to show you the trick and actually something that is really helpful for us to get around that. So first we product type. And as you can see, there's only one option. If you had multiple categories, then you need to make sure you are selecting the correct product type. And remember that one screen that we had, once you selected your category, it would load at the end and it would show, for example, you selected baby bathtubs. right next to it, it would show the product type related to that. So make sure you select the correct one if you're doing this for multiple categories. But for this case, it's just one category, so just select the option that they have available. Then you're going to input your seller SKU here. Next, you're going to select the brand. If you have multiple brands registered, then it will be the drop-down menu. You just have to select one of them or the one that you wanted. And if you only have one, yes, go ahead.
Could you make a zoom of the screen to 150? There is at the top of 100%,
yes,
or 200. Yeah, like this.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Great idea. Can you guys see it better?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good. So brand name, so you go ahead and select it. Next is the product name. And product name is the product title. So, and again, if you don't know what something means, just like product name, you can always go to this tab, data definitions. But here, very straightforward, you put your product title. Now, this process, this sheet is not going to tell you when you reach the character limit. So I would advise you to have something like a website like this, charactercounttool.com. That's what we use, just to make sure that you're within the range that it's your limit, because it's not going to tell you. So you have a limit, character limit for titles. You have a character limit for descriptions, for bullet points. So just make sure you always have that on a separate tab before you copy and paste it here. Next is going to be the product ID. That's going to be the ASIN, the UPC code, EAN. And one quick trick is that for some reason, sometimes this process did not go through. I had some errors when I used the ASIN, but when I used the UPC code, then it went through. So maybe this is not happening anymore, but when I started using this was one of the common occurrences. So just a little trick for you if you're having some issues, maybe try switching the product ID to put the UPC code. And if you're GTIN exempt, you don't have to put anything. You're going to see later on that there's going to be the GTIN column for you to fill something out. Next, you're going to do the product ID type. And here's where I'm going to show you the trick. Whenever there's this drop-down menu here and it gets stuck on loading, all you have to do is go to the very last tab and go to valid values. This tab is going to show you all of the options that you have to use it for that column. So for example, for product ID type, you need to use one of these, GTIN, EAN, all of these options, UPC, ASIN. You cannot type anything else. If you do, there's going to be some errors. Amazon's not going to be able to load your file and the change is not going to go through. And another important thing is that you need to type or copy exactly how it's showing here. So if there is and it's case sensitive. So for example, drinking cup, it's all lowercase and it's all together. There's no space. Or UPC, it's all uppercase. So what you can do is just copy. And what I do is I go back to template. And instead of pasting right over here, I go to the box where you can actually type values and paste it here. And that is because if you're using Google Sheets, you don't want to reset this conditional formatting or the format of the drop-down menu. Sometimes when you paste it here, you see that the arrow disappears and then you can have some errors uploading. So anytime that you copy something from valid values, come back here and paste it on this screen. Okay, so you obviously put the number itself for the product ID, then you put the product ID type, and then moving forward. And one thing I forgot to mention is that if you saw, and I'll zoom out again quickly, if you saw there's different colored columns, sections, and that is to make it easier for each kind of tab. Like if you were to do this manually, you would see like different tabs, but also for you to see everything that is on this first column is because it's required. And it shows here, if you go to valid values, it shows that everything here is required. Everything that is this peach coral color is everything to do with variation and so on. So that helps it keep it more organized and you don't get lost. So going back to the Zoom. So far, so good?
Yes, enjoying the content very much and very great tips, because I think the case with flat files is that a lot of sellers do not have Excel in their computer. So working
Yes.
inside of the Google Drive is like, working wonders for them.
Exactly. And it's free. So if you've seen any of our other videos, you know that we use Google Drive all the time. Google Sheets, Google Docs, we use it for everything. So I'm really grateful that we can do that. All right, so next is item type keyword. And again, if the drop down selection options do not load, then you go to valid values. So every time, that's what I like to do, is copy and paste, so there's no mistakes. Even when I try typing, sometimes you can do an extra space or anything like that. So I just copy and paste. Even if there's no little arrow here, then I still copy and paste if there's the option on the valid values template, just to avoid any issues. And this unit of measure is if you have, like if you're selling maybe a bundle, if it's a package of 6, let's say I'm selling 6 wine cups a set, then you're going to put the count type and the unit count. And again, if you have any issues, just go through data definitions and valid values. But moving on, a lot of these required columns are going to be specific to the category that you selected. So even though it will save you time if you do multiple categories at the same time, sometimes it can confuse you because one category could have something required. For example, if you're selling clothing, then one of the required columns is going to be size, but it's not for wine glasses. So you might think that it's required for wine glasses because, it's in the required color, but it's not. So personally, I actually do this by category, but that's because we only sell within a handful of categories. So for us, it's not a huge difference in time savings. But if you maybe do this once, next time that you edit, you already know that a certain required column is for a specific category, then it'll make it easier. So moving forward, the standard price is just your price, let's say $19.99. Quantity, you only need to put quantity if you're selling fulfilled by merchant. Then you need to put the actual quantity that you have in stock. If you're selling fulfilled by Amazon, you can put 0, you could put 1, and either way, Amazon is going to pick up whatever inventory you have there. Or if you haven't sent it yet, it's going to show 0, but it will pick up anything for that specific SKU, however much inventory that you have. Next, number of items. And actually, I'm confused about this one. So that's what I would, number of items. Oh yeah, that is if you're doing bundling. Sorry, the unit count is just because sometimes it's like ounces. Yeah, if you're doing something that is, like it's for a 200 ounce cup, then that's where you put, my bad. And unit count is if you're doing a bundle, a set. Next, image, main image URL. And this is to answer I believe Jeff's question. To be completely honest, I have never used this specific column because, well, not never. I tried using it once and it didn't go through. And maybe that's what he's been experiencing as well. Even though I am brand registered, what I've seen is that it will be much easier to just, if it's just editing a listing, if you leave it blank, even though it's on the required columns, if you leave it blank, Amazon's going to pick up on what you already have there. And if you're adding a brand new listing, all that it's going to happen is that it's going to upload as a suppressed listing. All of the changes will make, but the listing will be created as suppressed, and then you could manually add the image. However, this is an issue that has happened to me, and as I can see, it's been happening to other people as well. So maybe I'll look into what specifically is going on. But I've heard of many people using it that never had an issue. So I don't know if it might be something to do with Google Sheets or Excel. I'll try to look into that. But how do you get an image URL? And you can do that for main image and all of your other images as well. So as long as your image is somewhere online, you can do this. And I have an example right here. I really love this company. I actually have used this example before, but I think it's so cool. But let's say I'm selling this type of thermal wine tumbler. if there is an image online, all you have to do is open, like right click on the image and then open in a new tab. Can everyone see all of the tabs? Just wanted to make sure.
Yes, we all see all of those.
Okay, so do not copy the product page URL. You're going to open in a new tab and it's going to look like this, where it's only the image filling out the whole screen. Then you can copy this URL, copy, and then go back to your template. And as I said, I like pasting everything here. And I know that it can be a little bit confusing when the the information merges through other cells, but don't be alarmed. Like, you can always hover over and stay over here and know that there's nothing on number of items, just on the URL. Just so you know, don't be overwhelmed, because I used to be. And you can do that for every single image. So as long as your image is online, it could be anything. It doesn't even need to be from a product page. Let's say you found your image online, you have your website, or you have a blog, whatever. You can just right click, open in a new tab, and copy that URL and paste it. So you can do that for all of the image. The main image is the only one required for your listing to actually be active, and there's no like suppressing issues, but obviously it could be helpful to have for all of the other ones. Next section is going to be variation. And you only need to fill this out if this is going to be part of a variation family. So this is how you do it. If you have to pay attention in the roles that you're working on. If this role that you're creating right now is going to be a parent listing, then what you're going to choose right here is going to be parent. It's not loading right now, so you would come to valid values. You would see all of the options. It's either going to be parent or it's going to be child. So for this option, I'm going to choose parent. Then copy, come to template, paste it here. And if this is a parent, you don't put anything on parent SKU. But if this was a child ASIN, let's say the parent already exists, then you can put child here. I'm just going to type it, just make sure it's case sensitive, child. Then you would put the parent SKU, not that variation SKU, the parent SKU right here, which is different. So again, if it's the parent listing, you don't put anything on parent SKU. If it's child, you put the parent SKU. Now, relationship type is if that's an accessory or variation, or if package contains something. Again, go back and forth, valid values, and then fill it out. So let's just say this is a variation, and you can type, but beware of case sensitive. Variation theme. This is very important. If you fill out anything, like let's say you want to do variation, even if you're just editing that listing, you need to select what is the variation theme. Then again, you can see all of the options. And the main thing that I want to highlight is that once you select the theme, that whatever you select, now those two extra columns will become a required columns. And let me explain. So let's say, for example, you choose material. Let's do a double one. Color, display, and weight. I don't know, random. Color, display, and weight. You can copy here, paste over here in the variation theme. Now, if you go to the next group of colors, you're going to see somewhere there's going to be color and somewhere is going to be display weight. You have to put information on those two columns now, otherwise it's not going to go through. So just select your variation theme first, and then you know which columns to actually fill out. Then package level, and let me just see package level. If we go back, if it's unit, case, palette, everything. I'm just going to skip some of these because these are very product specific, category specific. And again, you can go and see the data definitions, the valid values, and get that explained for you. But just to jump in, as I said, this is very, very important. This next group is update, delete. This is where you're going to tell Amazon, what is this file? What kind of changes this file you want this file to do? Do you want to create a brand new listing? Do you want to update an existing listing, or do you want to delete a listing? So those, if you go here, you're going to see those are the three options. And here's another trick. And the rule is that if you're editing a listing, you're going to use partial update. If you're adding a brand new listing, you're going to use update. If you're editing, you're going to do partial update. And that's what I would advise you to try at first. So you can copy and paste here. However, sometimes I've had this happen to me where the change still did not go through. And I just switched to update and then the change went through. So it's a mystery. Amazon has lots of mysteries. With me, this is what's worked. But just a quick disclaimer, if you do full update, and honestly, even if you do partial update, I would recommend that you do a listing backup before you do that. And if this is not the very first time that you do that and you already have this file somewhere, then you don't need to do backup because you have all of the information stored somewhere else, which is one of the benefits. But if you don't, make sure you back up all of your listings because something could be wiped out, you know, like your title, your description, bullet points, and then you would have to recreate it. So very important tip. But yeah, if you're just editing, it's just partial update. And this is going to be, if you didn't put anything for the product ID, that because you're GTIN exempt, then that's where you would fill in the GTIN reason. Next is going to be product description. And again, make sure you have the character count tool somewhere in handy. And one quick tip is that when you're writing, let's say you copy and pasting, then that'll be easy. But if you're writing here, which I usually don't do, if you want to create, what is it called? Like paragraphs. So let's say start of description, doing typos live. Okay, so description. Let's say you want to do a blank line and then another line. You, at least on MacBook, I don't know with Windows, but you will click option right here on the value where you put in the value. You click option, return. That's going to create a new line and then return again, line 2. For example,
in Windows machines, if you're using Google Sheet and you want to make a line, you click Alt and then Enter, and then it will make a new line.
Yes, because if you just click Enter, let's say I just do line 1 and then Enter, it's as if you're done with that cell. So if you actually want to do the different lines, then you need to do the Option or Alt Enter. Next, the manufacturer, and for some categories, this is going to be required, but in this case, it's not. And again, I'm just going to skip through or else this is going to be a really long video. But I just want to get to 2 other very important features. So all of the description things, care instructions, as much information as you can put, because again, this can be your backup file. So you just want to have all information in hand if anything happens. So personally, I would just do as much information as you can, all of the bullet points, bullet point 1, 2, 3. And again, you follow that row for that same SKU. Be sure you're not doing like bullet point 1, 2, 3 like this, because the next row is going to be for a different product. So all of the bullet points, search terms, everything. And as you can see here, like scent, this is where some of the variation theme columns are going to be. So if you chose color, you need to put here something for color. Okay, so just moving forward, because there's 2 more very important things. This is specific to category here. Sorry, this is so easily dimensions. Okay, so for dimensions, this is where you're going to put the size of your unit. Item means the unit. So let's say you're selling the wine glass and it comes inside a box. Here you're going to put the actual wine glass size on the units. And then later you're going to see there's the package for the actual, how it comes to Amazon. The size that comes to Amazon, the biggest size that it will actually, they're going to need to accommodate when they're fulfilling orders. And just a quick note is that sometimes, I don't know why, these are out of order. So be sure to pay attention that, for example, first it's asking for the length unit of measure. So first you need to do not the number, but the unit of measure. So you're going to choose here, if you go to valid values, it's going to be inches. If you go here to blue, feet, centimeters, inches, whatever it is. Make sure you get the correct one, especially if you're working with foreign suppliers, like Chinese suppliers, they will usually give you in centimeters. And by default, sometimes you have inches. choose the correct one, unit of measure, and then here is where you would put the number. And sometimes it's completely out of order to where here asks for the unit of the length and here asks for the weight. And I don't know why it's out of order sometimes, but just be sure that you read every single one and that you select that you choose a valid value for each one of these. So all the item, as I said, is the little unit, but not necessarily how it arrives at Amazon. And next, if you keep scrolling, you're going to see, the package is going to be for fulfillment. So yeah, everything's about item here, liquid volume. It's very specific to your product, but it shouldn't be too difficult to understand. Next is fulfillment. Very, very important. So first, I'm going to skip this here for now just to point out that this is where you would put the package dimensions and weight, everything. As I said, if it comes inside a box, this is what you put. This is not the package size that Amazon is going to choose to ship your product in. So let's say you have a 4x4x4 box, but then Amazon puts it in a 12x8 by something. Usually, sometimes they change things up. So that's not what you're choosing. You're choosing the size of your package. So just wanted to make that clear. And also pay attention to the order of things, like height, width, length, and then the unit of measure. But now going back here to fulfillment center, if that item that you're adding or editing is fulfilled by Amazon, then be sure to select the correct fulfillment center. Right here, there's only going to be one option because if you remember step number 2, I believe we only chose one marketplace. But if it was multiple marketplaces, you would see several columns and you just have to add the correct fulfillment center for each column if that item was to be sold in all of the different marketplaces. If you don't put anything, as I said, it's not a required column. If you don't put anything and you have a fulfilled by Amazon product, then Amazon might convert your product into fulfilled by merchant. After the changes will go through and your product will be converted. And it's not a big deal. You're not going to lose your inventory. You just have to convert it back to fulfilled by Amazon, but you may have to do that manually. So it could be a headache. So just pay attention if it's fulfilled by Amazon to copy the correct fulfillment center. So this one's Amazon North America, and we just paste it here. Again, don't overwrite the little thing. But I will say that sometimes when you put something that it's not accepted, it will give you a little yellow flag. And then you already know that maybe you had a typo or case sensitive. Let me just try it, like Amazon. Yeah, there was a problem. So see, because it wasn't one of the values. But okay, last thing, I think that was the last thing. Oh, and the last is going to be compliance. So this is, again, very product specific. If you have any type of warranty, like codes, if your product requires certain types of certifications, this is where you put the California, number 2, that sometimes it's specific. And that's it. Let me just scroll through to make sure I didn't miss anything. What's the last? Oh, offer. This is just if you're having an actual offer. If you selected the price, that's just the what is it called? Retail suggested. It's skipping my mind what it's called. That's if you just put that price, that's going to be the price of your product. But you can have a temporary sale going on, just like you would do in if you did it manually. This is where you will put all of it. And if this is shipping by for merchant fulfill item, then you need to select the shipping template. If you create multiple shipping templates on Amazon, then all of the options will show up here. So you just have to select one of them. And I believe that might be the last. Not yet. Okay, B2B, this is just if you are eligible for B2B. And again, all of these columns are showing because I selected the advanced type of file. If you went to custom, sometimes it would be a lot less. Maybe it's a lot more simple, but I like having all of the options in case I'm forgetting something. But yeah, this is B2B, and that's it. Okay, now let's go back to, okay, we're almost done. Now you put all of the information that you want. I know it can seem overwhelming, but one thing that I didn't mention, yeah, maybe it took a long time for you to do that one product. If you have variations, a lot of the information is going to be the same. So all you have to do is copy the whole row. You can paste it below and just change the specific values, the specific information to that product. So obviously SKU, the UPC, the title, if it's different bullet points, anything that's specific to that product. But once you've gone through, you selected the fulfillment center, the variation theme, let's say it's like 10 different child ASINs, you can easily copy, and all of them are going to automatically come with the parent SKU that you already selected. So as you use it for more and more things at the same time, the more time you're going to save. But once you're done, I'm so sorry, I forgot to do one thing, which is to download. So let me share really quick. Okay, so once you're done, and just to explain, if you want to copy a whole row, you can easily just click on this cell right here, copy, and then paste. And you can do that by Command or Control-C, Control-V, or right click to copy and paste. And if it's the same product or a lot of the information is the same, then it's going to be such a time saver, and you just change here the different UPC and everything else. And once you're done, what you're going to do is come here to File, Download, and then download as a Microsoft Excel. And if you're using this file in Excel, all you have to do is save that file or save as a new file, whatever you prefer. So save, once you click here, it's going to automatically download and be in your download folder, wherever you choose. Then we have to go back to Amazon. Okay. Once you're done, we go back to Amazon. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Now we're going to go back to that same window for add products via upload, but we're going to go to the second tab where you can upload your inventory file. So make sure you click on that second tab, click on browse files or drag it there, and then it's going to start loading and upload. Then you put your email here so that Amazon can alert you if there are any errors or if the file was successfully processed. And finally, you click on upload file. And then on this third tab right here, you can monitor your status. So you're going to see when you uploaded, there's going to give you a batch ID, and it's going to give you the status if it's in process or if it's being uploaded. And you're also going to get an email. So I did one on purpose, like with some arrows to show you what it would look like. You would receive an email with the batch ID. And the batch ID is very important because if you do have an error and you need to contact seller support, they're going to request the batch ID number. So you need to have that for that specific file. Then it's going to say how number of records processed. So that's pretty much number of rows. If you did like one product, it's going to be 1. If you did 10 rows, it should say 10. And how many had errors and warnings. And if you see here, they're going to show you the description. So in this case, I messed up the unit of measure. I put an actual number. It wasn't a valid value. So they give you the arrow, and they're going to give you the type of error, which is, as I said in the beginning, one of the benefits. So if you do, one thing is that you can understand your error more easily, and you can actually change it yourself. Oh, I did something wrong. Let me just change the file, redo the process. Or if it's a bigger issue, you can call seller support or email, but I don't like emailing them. And you can tell them the exact error code. Very, very useful. And here's an example. If everything had gone through successfully, it would say number of records processed, number of errors, 0. Then you would know that everything went through without any issues. Now, if you receive this email and your changes didn't go through, I will wait a couple of hours or a few hours. Then maybe that's when you go back and try the update instead of the partial update. And lastly, yeah, you would see here. And as well, there's the email, but you can also always look here on the monitor status, and it's going to show here uploads done. You know, it's going to say if there's any errors or anything that you can always look. You don't have to keep checking your email. You can always do that through Amazon Seller Central. And again, you have this file, you have this all of this information that you're never going to lose. If you ever hire an assistant and you want them to do edits, they don't need to be logging into your Seller Central account, for example. They can just change the file, give it to you. So many benefits. And that's it. Any questions? Sorry, this is a really long video, but I wanted to make sure to give all of the tips. So, because it could be a headache if there's one thing that is out of place or one little mistake.
Yeah, no problem. So we do have quite a lot of questions. I hope we
Okay.
will manage to go through all of them. And before we move on, I wanted to mention that this session is part of the SellerFest Online virtual event. And besides 20 live streams, we also, with every 20 plus Amazon expert like Ali, we recorded additional video, which is available in the VIP package. And this VIP package, the link to this VIP package you can find in the description below. And let me share the screen. And in the VIP video, actually, it was Sumner, your husband, who was recording the session.
Yes.
Do you remember what he was sharing? Can you give an overview?
It was, I'm not completely sure of the full content, but it was some title hacks for ranking.
Okay. Yeah. I recorded with him that session. So he gave some example how you can trigger or ideas how you can find some other keywords and use this in the title hack to attract more traffic. Yes. So
to help ranking not only on Amazon but Google as well. So
so
very
you
cool.
get additional traffic from Google. Yes. And this session is part of the VIP package where we have all these speakers also sharing this additional extra content. And you can find the link below in the description. And on that page, you can read more what everybody's sharing. It's sometimes additional hacks, advanced strategies, blueprints, walkthroughs, step-by-steps, SOPs, worksheets to download. So I think it can be really useful for Amazon sellers. Definitely. And now let's move to the first questions. So Jeff, or Lisette wanted to say something.
Yeah, I also wanted to come in, say thanks to Alina for sharing this detailed presentation. I'm sure it's very helpful. I have been struggling with using flat files. And as Jeff, I think, was the one who mentioned, like, he didn't know, you can actually be quite excited about using flat files because the joy you get from successfully uploaded flat file, it's amazing. Yes. And to see those changes go through is awesome. So yeah, thanks a lot for that.
And indeed, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to click like. So I wait until everybody watching now click the like.
Yeah, we'll only get to the questions after everyone liked the video.
Yes. And now the first question, Lisette.
Yeah, let's take the first one. It's quite interesting. Nowadays, changes aren't going live even after using flat files too. So how to edit content in that case?
Well, I guess I'll have a counter question to see if they're getting errors when they upload the files. And maybe, Lisette, you can share it too, because you said that sometimes you have difficulties. But for me, every time that I have errors, I can understand. Not to say that I don't understand everything. I've noticed that the one time that I cannot seem to override errors is when it's browse node related, category related. Mm-hmm. If you have ever changed your product category, if you list it as one category and then at some point you change it to a different one, then it could be a headache afterwards. Like, you can really process changes because of the category. So every time that I have something that I cannot figure out with the files itself, I call Amazon Seller Support and I ask to talk to the catalog team. Every time that you call, you're going to talk to someone that might seem very knowledgeable and helpful, but like a lot of times they even give out misinformation, which drives me crazy. So just say that you need to talk to someone from the catalog team, and 80% of the time it's good. Like, they're really good. They actually help me sometimes I notice that they just need to refresh something on the back end. At least that's how they say it to me. But they would have to refresh something on the back end for the change to actually go through. So I know it's a pain, but if it's not going through, and if you're not receiving any errors, or if you're receiving errors that you can't really understand, that they don't make sense, then I would have to call Amazon Seller Support and see if they can take a look at the back end.
Actually, the last thing you mentioned has been working for me as well. So in case the flat file has been processed successfully, but the changes are still not visible in the customer's view, I do the same because I see it also works when you kind of ask them to update something in their backend system. So they come back to you and they actually say like, oh yeah, we did some kind of update and then it went through. But yeah, so far, if there are no errors, then usually the updates really go through. But I also have been struggling with updating the images. Seems somehow different, but difficult. But we also have a little bit different question about also updating a flat file. So is there any way to successfully upload a file that is owned by a different brand? There is an incorrect color shade on the listing. Seller support says this can only be done by the brand owner.
Yes, if the brand owner is brand registered, like if this is not your private label product, then Amazon decides who has the authority. And it's frustrating because like we're brand registered and sometimes it doesn't seem like we have the authority either. But unfortunately, I do not think so. If they, I mean, maybe you can reach out to them. I don't know. I've never dealt with this before because we only sell private label products. And I will say, speaking of brand, is that if you're brand registered, that sometimes the seller support is going to try to get you to contact brand registry support. Don't do it. As of right now, they're not very helpful. Try to do the regular support with the catalog team. And they can do things much easier and much faster than the brand registered team.
Okay, very good. So let's take another one from here. So does this allow products to be entered on Amazon? So I mean, probably he means like, can you fill in this information? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can create a listing and you just have to use full update on that. I forget the title of that column, but instead of partial updates, full update, and it will create. But all of the required things need to be filled out. Otherwise, it may be created, but it may be suppressed.
Okay. And actually, I have one question on top of my mind. So can you say, like, do you see any benefits when adding new products? Like if you compare using a flat file to add a new product to the inventory rather than just, manually kind of like doing it like everybody are kind of like used to do before?
Right. I see a benefit if you're doing several products at once. And if you're doing multiple categories, it can save a lot of time. And I used to see a benefit, but now Amazon's getting better when it was related to variations. Mm-hmm. It used to be a headache to like add variations to variation families. And I was always able to do using the flat file without any issues. But now they're doing pretty good in relations to like editing variations and all that. But I would say that the biggest benefit is when you're doing several, or honestly, for me, is if it's a variation and a lot of the information is the same. Then I just change the title, the UPC, and the SKU. So I do it because I have that as a like a backup file. So I just have to I just copy everything and paste it and change for me, it's much easier.
Okay, very good. So let's take another one. So Paul is asking, what additional columns do you know of that you can add into the sheet for additional customization?
I'm not remembering a lot of them. I do know that you can add expiration date if you're doing some sort of food or something that you consume. I think you can do like electrical things as well if you do electrical, like any sort of electronics or electrodomestics. And actually, if you do custom, you can add a lot of the columns that you already saw, but just extra additional columns that we saw today will not be edited because like B2B, maybe that's not relevant to you or anything like that. But so far, expiration date is what I can remember from the top of my head.
Okay, and Jeff is actually asking a related question. So can you pull columns from other sheets and then add them to a different sheet?
I would not suggest you to do that. I would suggest you that you download. If I think you only do that if you did multiple categories, I think. But if you did that, I would just re-download the sheet, copy whatever you need from what you already had and paste it in the new one. And because things might be out of order, there's a way that the system reads. And even if it's in the correct order, I would not risk messing with the file, honestly, and something going through wrong.
Okay, so talking about messing up, so Keith is asking, how do we back up our listing? Is there a flat file backup?
Yes. So actually, I have this video on our YouTube channel, The Amazing Escape Plan. Long story short, for some reason right now, you have to first contact Amazon to request access to the, I believe it's called Category Listings Report. Category Listings Inventory Report. After you request, you're going to have 7 days. Yes, that's our YouTube channel. And we have already the step-by-step process over there in the channel. And yeah, after you request it, you have 7 days to download, and you can do by category. You can do all of your active listings. You can do maybe all listings that were from the last month or since you started selling. So I would highly, highly recommend to do that. And when you download, it's going to be a flat file that they're going to give it to you.
So I think Jeff, sorry.
And I wanted to ask which exactly is the video you are talking about that people recognize?
It is Save Hours. It's one that I'm like, Save Hours. Yeah, you can just Save Hours or like search over there. Or listing backup, something with backup. Do backup. Maybe Save Hours is just on the thumbnail. Let's see.
I thought it's one of the recent ones.
It's somewhat recent. Yes. Backup your Amazon listings, the first one.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We will put this link in the. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, so you just mentioned, I think Jeff is asking about the same thing you just briefly explained about. So category listing reports, right? So go over to that video to see how it works and how people can download it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I just said. He has like multiple questions on this question. So how to download, you got it. I mean, you can edit, but I would not use whatever you use to download to upload. Personally, I would not use that. I haven't tried, but not as I downloaded, because when I backed up by category. So there's like multiple different products. That's my case. So I usually just do product by product, copy and paste, but at least I have that backup file.
Okay, very good. So let's take another one. So regarding to the images, where can you use an image URL for your own products if you don't have a website or images are only in folder in the computers?
That's a great question.
Actually, I think sorry. I was thinking, doesn't Amazon usually just suggest to use some kind of website where you can kind of upload the image and then you get this website address back? I just, like, on top of my mind from talking with seller support, I just remembered they kind of like suggest some kind of website like this.
I might suggest you give me.
I was thinking also that Augustus actually might know this kind of website.
Yeah, you might know. That's a good question.
It's actually like it will like temporarily like upload your image or something.
Yes, you can. I think use this Imgur. So you would, for example, I would try to.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yes, I'm sharing.
We don't see, but okay.
Yeah.
Now we
have to pull it. Yes.
Oh.
So image URL, and I think now I can just, let me check if I can just copy paste. No, I cannot paste. I think it's this one. Let me check. Yes, it's image URL. So when you will upload, you should be able to get. This is, I just uploaded a screenshot of this page. So you see, I get like URL, the address, and then you probably could use it in your. Just figure out how to do it in an easy way.
I need to look more into that, but I would be I would not be completely confident that that would be the best quality that would show up on Amazon. And one recent thing that I found out on Amazon, I was actually thinking about creating a video about that, is that the colors on Amazon, they show up best if they are sRGB. So for example, we sell also on Etsy. If I were to use the Etsy things, which are just regular RGB type of image, then it shows up super desaturated on Amazon. So every time I need to I personally go on Photoshop and I change the profile to sRGB, and then it shows up well on Amazon. So that's why I usually don't use the image URL, but yeah, maybe it will be helpful too if you have lots of listings.
Okay, very good. So let me see, we still have some questions. So let's take a question from George. Will a full update get rid of retained listing info in Amazon's catalog? I deleted a listing because of an incorrect size, but every time I upload my flat file, Amazon says my new size doesn't match, probably with the old value.
Yes. So honestly, nothing disappears from Amazon. I would say they have the history of everything. Now it can be a pain, but yeah, is he asking about full delete or full update? A full update, get rid of everything. It's not going to get rid of. At some point, they would be able to find it. Especially because even a full update, they're still seeing who has the most authority over that listing. All I mentioned here today was specifically for private label. So if you own that brand, then it will most likely happen, as I said. But if you don't, then that's a different conversation. And in terms of, as the new size doesn't match, in terms of sizing, that's one thing too that I forgot to mention. Sometimes it's really difficult to edit sizing on the back end, and I was able to successfully using flat file. But sometimes you just need to ask Amazon to remeasure your file. Like maybe you don't use, since it's not required, don't fill out the sizing thing. See what Amazon gets back to you, because you can request Amazon to resize your products. That's going to determine the FBA fees. So request, see what they tell you, because before they resize, they tell you what they currently have for you to actually maybe create a case. Maybe it's really off or anything like that. And it could be a pain if you really made a mistake. It was like a crazy oversized thing, then it might require like a longer case conversation with the catalog team.
The catalog team is a keyword.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So Keith has another question. So variations, what value do we use for product ID on the parent listing?
The ASIN. The ASIN.
ASIN.
That's why. And if it's brand new, if it's a brand new listing, I think you can leave it blank, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I just use the ASIN for product ID. And then remember, nothing on the SKU if you use like parent.
Okay, very good. And Keith has another one. So on Seller Central, some listings do not allow us to input search terms or subject matter. If we do it through the flat file upload, would this be uploaded into Amazon?
If it's not, I will tell you with 95% confidence that if it's not on Amazon regular listing, if it's not an option for you, then that's very specific to your category. So even if you see the column, you can put something in. I would put something there just in case if I had the time. But I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to be ranking for those, but you can always test it. Do like a random listing and see if you're going to rank for certain keywords that you only put on like the search terms that you don't have access to on manually. We haven't tested it yet. Maybe we'll do that.
Okay, cool. And I think the last one, you have been doing great so far. So do you recommend filling out all columns to ensure hackers, competitors can't potentially input black hat info in blank columns to take down your listing? For example, should we put not available in some columns?
If you're in a really competitive product in category, I think it's worth it to do it. We've never had an issue like that. It's usually like old versions of our listings show up and they override our thing, old versions that we used to have. But if you can, and as I said, this is going to serve as a backup file. So it's one-time effort, then I would say yes. I would say do it, especially if you're in a competitive category and competitive product.
Okay.
Oh, great. Good. Very much good.
Hopefully it's valuable. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Ali. And again, could you remind us about your, what you do and where people can find you?
Yes. So you can find us on all social media channels, including YouTube. And you can also find our online courses, The Amazing Escape Plan on Udemy or Skillshare. And because Sumner he's usually the one creating all of the content, we started off with it's like his account. So at Sumner Hobart, you're going to get so many tips, Amazon tips. Seriously, you're going to get lots of tips on all of the different platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have Facebook groups. Something that we really love doing is creating different templates and things that are very helpful, profit calculators, supplier RFQ, and we have all of this available if you join our Facebook group. So just look for Sumner Hobart or The Amazing Escape Plan, and you should be able to find us. And if you want to find us doing our travels, it's Hobart's Abroad. Yeah, we've been traveling everywhere, and we sometimes post content there as well.
I think you link your other YouTube channel below in your Sumner's YouTube channel as well. Like there is a link somewhere
linked,
to
so
your
you would be able to find it.
Yeah,
so
Earl is happy.
Yeah, I just also wanted to show.
To him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I will pass it along. I'll tell Sumner.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Alia. Thank you, Lisette.
Thank you so much.
And now I would like to invite you to watch the video where there is a Q&A with Norm Farrar, and he is giving tips on how to optimize your Amazon listings.